The Bridge to New Beginnings. In a quaint village surrounded by mountains, a young man named Covey felt trapped by his circumstances. Life was simple but monotonous, and he longed for a purpose that went beyond the village routines. One day, he heard a story about an ancient bridge that led to a land of endless opportunities. The villagers spoke of this bridge as a place of transformation, but they warned that the journey to reach it was treacherous. Despite their warnings, Covey was drawn to the idea of finding the bridge and the life that lay beyond it. He decided to take a leap of faith and set out on a journey, armed only with a small backpack and a heart full of hope. His first challenge was the dense forest that lay between the village and the mountain trail. The forest was dark, and unfamiliar sounds echoed all around, filling Covey with unease. But he pressed on, telling himself that every step forward was a step closer to the bridge. As he ventured deeper, Covey encountered a steep hill with loose rocks, making each step slippery and uncertain. He slipped several times, skinning his hands and knees, but he refused to turn back. Covey realized that the journey to something greater would require resilience and sacrifice. Days passed, and Covey's provisions ran low. He learned to live off the land, foraging for wild berries and drinking from mountain streams. He felt a newfound respect for nature and for his own resourcefulness. Surviving each day became its own victory, and he began to believe he could overcome anything. One morning, Covey came upon a river with no bridge in sight, only jagged rocks leading across. He was unsure how to proceed, but he remembered that bravery meant taking calculated risks. After studying the river's flow, he began to hop from rock to rock, keeping his balance steady. Finally, he reached the other side, exhausted but grateful for his perseverance. In the stillness, he felt a sense of accomplishment like never before. Each challenge was teaching him lessons he never imagined he would learn back in the village. Further up the mountain, Covey encountered an old, wise hermit who lived in a secluded cave. The hermit invited him to share a meal, and they talked about Covey's journey and the bridge he sought. The hermit listened carefully, then smiled and said, "The bridge you seek isn't only a path. It's a test of heart and spirit." Intrigued by the hermit's words, Covey stayed for a night, listening to stories of travelers who had come seeking the bridge before him. Some had turned back, and only a few had succeeded, each leaving behind tales of transformation. The hermit's stories inspired Covey to continue, now understanding that this journey was as much internal as it was physical. As he set out the next morning, the hermit handed Covey a small stone, saying, "This will remind you of the strength within." Covey tucked the stone in his pocket, feeling its weight as a symbol of his resilience. He now had a renewed sense of purpose, knowing the journey was about discovering his own potential. Covey walked for days, overcoming harsh weather, steep climbs, and sheer cliffs. Each step brought new challenges, and he found himself leaning on the stone for strength. It became a reminder that he was capable of much more than he had ever imagined. At last, he reached a ridge where he could see the fabled bridge in the distance, suspended high above a deep canyon. The sight filled him with awe and a mixture of excitement and fear. The bridge looked ancient and weathered, swaying in the mountain breeze. As Covey approached the bridge, he felt a wave of doubt. What if he wasn't ready for what lay on the other side? But he remembered the lessons of persistence and courage he'd learned along the way. He took a deep breath, placing one foot on the bridge, feeling the rope sway beneath him. The bridge creaked as he moved forward, but he remained steady, focusing on the end rather than the uncertainty beneath him. Each step felt like a commitment to a new version of himself, one who wouldn't be easily shaken. With each step, He let go of his past fears and embraced the unknown. Halfway across, the wind picked up, causing the bridge to sway even more. Covey's heart raced, but he remembered the stone the hermit had given him, gripping it tightly for courage. The stone reminded him that he'd conquered challenges before and could do so again. Finally, Covey reached the other side, stepping onto solid ground with a feeling of relief and accomplishment. He looked back at the bridge, marveling at how much he had changed just by crossing it. The journey itself had been as transformative as reaching his goal. As he continued walking, Covey discovered a vibrant village filled with people from diverse backgrounds and ideas. These people had also crossed the bridge, each with their own story of trials and growth. Covey realized he was now part of something bigger, a community of dreamers and doers. He found himself inspired by their stories, each person sharing unique struggles and triumphs. Covey felt deeply connected, understanding that overcoming his fears had opened new paths for him. He began to see how his journey could be a beacon for others as well. In the village, Covey met an elder who had crossed the bridge many years ago. The elder explained, crossing the bridge was just the beginning. The real journey lies in how you use what you've learned. Covey took this to heart, feeling that his journey was far from over. Determined to help others, Covey decided to stay in the village and guide those who sought to cross the bridge themselves. He taught them that success lay not just in reaching a destination, but in the growth that happened along the way. Covey felt a new purpose, a desire to inspire others to take their own leaps of faith. Days turned into weeks, and Covey helped many villagers overcome their fears, sharing his own journey as an example. He watched each person grow, their transformations mirroring his own experiences. Through this, Covey found fulfillment, realizing that purpose was as much about giving as it was about achieving. One day, a young traveler asked Covey, "Why did you choose to leave your old life behind?" Covey paused, remembering the longing he once felt for something greater. He replied, "Because sometimes the only way to grow is to step out of comfort and embrace the unknown." Covey's teachings spread through the village, inspiring more people to consider their own bridges. He was no longer just a traveler but a mentor, someone whose journey had a ripple effect on others' lives. He realized that his choice to leave the familiar was impacting countless lives for the better. As the years passed, Covey became known as the Guide of the Bridge. People traveled from distant lands to hear his story and gain courage from his experiences. The village flourished, becoming a place where dreams were born and fear was conquered. One evening, as Covey watched the sun set over the bridge, he felt a profound sense of peace. He realized that while his journey had started with a longing for something more, it ended in finding himself. The bridge had given him a life of purpose, one that he would never have found without taking that first step. Reflecting on his journey, Covey understood that true transformation happens not in the destination, but in the journey itself. Every challenge, every obstacle had sculpted him into the person he'd become. He had found more than a new life. He had found his own strength and courage. Covey continued to share his story, reminding others that courage is built, not born. He encouraged everyone to embrace their fears and seek out their own bridges to cross. Through him, people learned that there is no limit to what one can achieve by believing in oneself. Years later, villagers would still tell tales of Covey and the bridge, each story passing down lessons of resilience. He had left a legacy not just of bravery, but of endless possibility. For Covey, this was the greatest gift, to inspire others to journey onward. One of Covey's favorite teachings became a village motto: "Every step towards the bridge is a step toward who you're meant to become." People painted these words along the village path leading up to the bridge, reminding everyone of Covey's wisdom. The village had become a place of inspiration, with Covey's story woven into its very heart. Covey's journey taught that sometimes a single step into the unknown can lead to a life transformed. The bridge had been more than a path. It was the way to discovering the strength within. With gratitude, Covey knew that he had not only crossed a bridge, but also found a life full of purpose, peace, and endless new beginnings. Moral of the story: sometimes the greatest transformations come from stepping into the unknown. Embrace challenges with courage, for each step can reveal your hidden strength and guide you toward a life of purpose and fulfillment.